Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Magic Craft. Idols of Torment, my original setting and skirmish game that I've been developing over the past year. And we're getting really close to launching. The official launch will be on Kickstarter this September. My partner on the project, JP, and I have been incredibly busy over the past couple months working on this thing. It's just been a fury of activity and development, and it's been really amazing, but we haven't had a chance to breathe, let alone release more information about what we've been doing. But finally, we are at a point where we can update you with some info about this game and the cool stuff that we have planned for it. First things first, idolsoftorment.com. The website is no longer just a placeholder to sign up for notifications for the Kickstarter. We've started populating it with some important info, a deep dive into the setting, all of the playable factions called orders, which we're going to talk about in this video, as well as some crucial fundamental info about gameplay. That website will continue to be updated with more information as we get closer to the Kickstarter launch. We're getting scarily close to September. The rules have been essentially finished for quite some time now. They've already gone through one phase of editing by our editor, Matt Click, who is an absolute awesome person to be working on this project. We're really happy. Some of you may know him from his YouTube channel, Fistful of Dice, or from Absolute Tabletop, or maybe you actually just know him because you've read rule books that he's worked on. The rules are now in the hands of a select group of local play testers, a group of guys that we really trust to stress test this thing. I can also announce that we have officially gotten David Annandale, a much respected horror and Black Library author, on board to write fictional pieces for the finished rulebook. Very excited about that. But what I'm excited about more than anything, and what's been taking up the majority of my time on this project, is the development of all the miniatures and product. First of all, this is a miniatures agnostic game, and there are two distinct type of models within it. There are the player models and the objective models. Now, unlike a lot of games, the objective here is not treasure or markers. It's actual human souls. And I showed these previously. These are the lost. These are AI-controlled characters in the game, and it is your job to reap their souls. These miniatures were sculpted by Crippled God Foundry. These will be available as STL downloads that you can 3D print. But excitingly, they're also going to be available as plastic models on sprues. The game's going to come with two sprues, actually. One is the Lost models, and another one is full of game aids. There's tokens in this game. The initiative system using these tokens is a fundamental part of the game. The final ones are actually going to have a lot of really cool individual sculptural details on every token. And that's being done by BLIGHT, who's taking my original tokens that I just designed in Tinkercad and making them look cool so that it's justified to put them on plastic. That sprue is also going to include a movement gauge, which will be decorated really nicely by him as well. And there's going to be unit markers, little plastic candles that you can glue on the bases in different counts from 1 to 5 to indicate what unit type your model is. So that's really going to facilitate kit bashing and using original minis so everybody knows what a model is when they're playing. It was really important to me that the game be miniature agnostic. There's the other side of me that so badly wanted to have official models for the player models as well, for the actual factions, the orders. And we decided to do that. So this Kickstarter is now gonna have like 80 models. The plastic sprues for the Lost and the tokens, and then 72 additional models that will be available to 3D print yourself if you wanna play with the official ones. Today I can start revealing, one, what the orders actually are in this game and what some of the models look like. But how the hell do you actually make something like this happen? I'm not a sculptor, so this was a challenge. The first thing was me and JP actually deciding what the playable orders are and getting some talking points, some visual cues, some ideas. Those then needed to be converted into concept art. And I found an amazing artist named Santiago who makes wonderful dark imagery. I love it. He was a perfect fit for this project, and he came on board and he designed all 8 of the original first concept pieces of art for each of the orders. And I've been working on my own for them as well. Actually, I've been working on a lot of artwork for this book. I have been utilizing a tool called Midjourney, which is an AI drawing tool. It's been really fun. I've been practicing with it and getting it to do what I want, and using that in combination with an iPad and Procreate to make my own artwork for the book. So I'll be showing you some of that as well. But you can't just take concept art and turn it into a model. The next step was actually getting individual concept art pieces for models, something that a sculptor could look at and make in 3D. I reached out to my friend Hankerin at RUNEHAMMER, who is like a drawing friggin' madman. The way he draws is the way I build terrain. We spent a couple weeks back and forth developing sketches for 72 models. And Hank, thank you so much. This wouldn't have been able to be done without you. But that wasn't the end stage. They needed to be sculpted in 3D. How the hell are you gonna find a sculptor? A lot of time and thought went into picking somebody to actually sculpt these models. It had to be a person or a team that I could really trust. I reached out to my friends John and Nick from Crippled God Foundry. Now, they were kind enough earlier to sculpt these Lost miniatures for me, and I love their work, and thankfully, they were willing to get on board and sculpt all of these models. Thank you so much, guys. And Nick, you killed it. All of the models are sculpted. Some of them are in the final stages of being scaled, just tweaking the size. 2 orders I've already printed out, and me and JP have painted one of them each. Before I go and reveal all of the 8 orders and show you these models, I want to tell you about Crippled God Foundry. Every month, they release a set of fantasy-themed miniatures that includes terrain that you can print at home. Their work is fantastic. It's so good that I entrusted them with sculpting all 80 of my minis in my most important project ever. All of their models come pre-supported, and you get extra lore, stats, and battle mats, and all that fun stuff. Their June release is The Cursed Sultan, a great fusion of themes. The creatures are undead, vampiric ghouls, but in a desert setting. Not something you see every day. These are very thematic and perfect for a memorable game. You can get this set for only $10 by joining their Patreon, but you need to act fast because this month is almost over. And come July, another awesome set, The Shark God Awakens, which is full of aquatic creatures and heroes, will drop. So you can sneak in and join right before the month ends and get the current set and then quickly get the next month when it rolls over. This is going to give you plenty of models to use in your upcoming games. I promise you, they're a pleasure to print and paint. I would not have hired them to sculpt my minis if this wasn't the case. I'll put a link in the description so you can check them out for yourself. So, orders. First of all, players. You each get the same roster of units. There's 9 models and 5 distinct unit types. You get 1 Reaper, 1 Corruptor, 2 Stalkers, 2 Lurkers, and 2 Slayers, plus your totem. Now each order is both thematically and mechanically different. So what are the 8 orders? First we have the Scorn. They represent violence, sadism, torture. They're living weapons. Their bodies are adorned with chains and hooks and all sorts of implements of pain and torture. It was an absolute dream to paint these models. One, because it was exciting to paint my own models that we're developing, but also because they were actually just really nice to paint. I really liked it. JP and I sat down to paint the first 2 sets. I painted Scorn and he painted the Vein. Now next you have the Vein. They represent arrogance, narcissism, perfection. These are creatures that have tried to perfect their looks to a point of monstrosity. They got no skin left, they cover it in masks, adorn themselves in beautiful clothing. JP painted his in a kind of realistic style in the sense that they are just covered in blood that's coming off their flayed flesh. I started mine with a slightly different approach, but I'm not done yet. They're still a work in progress. The next order is the Insatiate. They represent consumption, greed, need. They're very vampiric. One of their defining features is a single eye, and it represents their focus on one desire, one goal. This is one of the few orders in the game that uses more traditional weapon types, and the models came out great. And then we have the Hollow. They represent depression, isolation, hopelessness. These are essentially ghosts. These are spirits that take spectral form. They are in a constant state of anguish. They groan, they wail, they hunt and haunt their prey. And then we have the Wretched. They represent fearlessness, madness, and disorder. They are twisted, disfigured, disgusting creatures. Their bodies are an abomination, just a mess of human and creature. Got all sorts of tentacles and insect parts that act as natural weapons. This is the absolutely chaotic order. And then we have the Wasting. The Wasting represent neglect, dependency, vulnerability. These are weak creatures that can't exist without support systems. They offset their weakness with complex machines that act both as like life preservers, but also as weapons. And then we have the Vile. They represent parasitism, enervation, toxicity, just disgusting, toxic people. These creatures are a mix of organic fungal material. They're covered in spores and egg sacs, webbing, and just all sorts of gross natural organic matter. And last, but certainly not least, is the Strife. They represent domination, supremacy, predation. They represent the most animalistic side of humanity. They possess a mixture of antlers, hooves, claws, that they use as natural weapons to carve up their opponents. They are pure, unadulterated aggression. That's just a very brief overview of the 8 orders to give you a taste. Soon we'll be releasing mechanical information for each of them, and that's going to be added to the website, idolsoftorment.com. I highly encourage you to go check it out. It's been updated with all sorts of information. We are getting so close to launching this Kickstarter, September of this year. It's coming up really fast. Going into the Kickstarter, we're gonna have the vast majority of assets completed, and it'll just be a matter of finalizing the book layout, getting it printed. The molds for the Lost models are already being cut. The STL files are already all designed. A ton of artwork's done. The rules are essentially done. It's gonna be awesome. So thank you again to everybody that's helped me along the way, especially Crippled God for making these models happen. I am truly grateful. I hope you liked this video, very different than usual. Hope it answers some questions about the game. I can't wait to play this game with you guys. We're doing it. Thanks for watching. Follow your dreams.